Hey everyone, today we're going to be installing this pitcher well pump. This is made by Simmons. It's only about 60 bucks on Amazon.com. Since no stores around here sell them, I had to order it online. It's a pretty nice unit. It's very simple. I can feel it's got really good compression, brand new, made out of cast iron. And what's really fun about it is you just unbolt these two screws for occasionally when you have to replace the gasket. Now on a pump like this, you want the gasket to be pretty snug, but not totally snug. Reason being is, if you walk away with a bucket to water something and you come back 5 minutes later, you want to be able to keep pumping. But you also want it to be able to slowly leak and slip back down the pipe over a course of maybe a half an hour. That way it doesn't freeze in the winter time and you can literally leave it out here. I was actually wanting to buy one that had a hose setting, so as you pump it, it pumps it through a hose for like garden use. I couldn't find one of those at an affordable price, but in the future I could always add literally a second pump on the same well. Or there are like 3 other ones on the property which are abandoned because I'm not exactly sure why, but my guess is there was some kind of logging camp here on this property, because before this started being built up into a farming community, this entire area of Maine was a logging forest. So none of these trees here are older than the 50s, or I should say the 70s. The 70s is when they stopped logging this area. So this is what we got here, the pitcher pump. Really nice. And we're definitely within the 25 feet of suction because the well we're about to install this on, which is not this one. This one right here goes to the house. This is a drilled well. This thing goes down over 100 feet. So this thing should never run dry. Oh, look at that. Is that alive? Whoa, spider friend. Yeah, look at that. He got his molt. That's pretty cool. But this right here is a drilled well. Only reason I have this cover on is because the ground shifted and I had to caulk this. And I don't know, I like it. I'm going to leave that cover here. This is a cover to an old propane tank. But this right here behind it is the well the house used to use. Or this may have been part of a logging camp, because I know there was never any other giant buildings here. As far as I can tell, I've looked. There's no weird grading. There's no foundations. I don't know why. There's random wells in the woods around here. So we got this thing here. We're going to do some trimming first. We're going to cut this one branch off this tree, mow around it, and then we are going to install it. I took measurements of this like about a week ago, so when we go to the store, we know exactly what parts to get. They got this middle part here to lift it up with heavy machinery, but we can just slide it over enough to be able to work in there. I was thinking about building a wooden platform, but I don't want any contaminants getting into the well, because this thing, it dribbles down when it rains, but there's an inner lip that this is sitting on. I can't slide it. I have to lift it and slide it, so nothing will ever get in. I'm literally going to go to the store. I'm going to get a concrete drill. I looked at that thing. I'm going to need one 2 inches for the pipe, and then a smaller one so I can put some concrete anchors into this. I think that will be our best option, and it'll stay nice and mossy. This moss, because it's been dry out, is in hibernation. If this gets rained on, it'll green up very quickly. I think this is a good place to have a nice hand pump well. So this thing goes down from the top of this section of culvert. It goes all the way down 11 feet. There are 3 feet of water inside it. The biggest measurement I have ever taken inside it was 7 feet deep. We're not near that anymore. It hasn't been raining a lot. So it's very possible what I'm doing may dry up, but we could do a similar application in other wells, but they're kind of in useless places of the forest. This is the only one on the edge of the lawn that could actually be used for watering. So if we grab this handle, I'm going to go ahead and lift this up. Oh, this thing is really heavy. I don't know if I can do it with one hand. Heavy concrete cover. The problem isn't doing it with one hand. The problem is it's such a small handle, it kind of hurts. All right, that's about all we need to open. Now, when I first opened this, I was concerned that there was a potential that pipeline was actually feeding the house, because it was on. I reached down there with a shovel and I shut that thing off. Since you see the plastic pipe with the hose clamp where it goes out the wall, well, there's a similar thing leading into the basement. So I thought so, but no, it can't be, because we get out of the drilled well 8 gallons per minute. I had that on full blast for a half an hour with this thing shut off. It's not coming from here. Definitely not. The pressure tank only holds probably 20 gallons at the most inside it. When the water's shut off, that pressure will allow that water to be used, but then that's it. So below the water line you're seeing right there, there's only 3 feet. What's that dude crawling? Is that a cave cricket. Cool. At first, from this distance, I thought it was a cockroach, because there are some cockroaches around in the woodlands. Not the kind that infest a house, they're just natural. There's a giant slug down there on the wall, too. He's pretty cool. All right. Just gonna slide it enough like that so a squirrel or a bird can't fall in, but enough where I don't have to lift it again. All right, so let's head off to the store. All right, I brought the part into the store. I gotta try to find some good plumbing for it. That actually does fit perfectly. That's very pricey. The pieces of pipe are actually almost as much as the pump. That's a 10-foot section of pipe, and I estimated we needed 11, so I think we're only going to buy 1. That'll save us the money of having to buy the connecting rod, and we don't really need that bottom part. Unless it's an emergency, I can add a tiny part in the future. So just 1 should do it. All right, so now that we're in a screw and anchor aisle, I think I'm gonna get these. These are for drywall and concrete. I'm not sure if they're stainless steel or just galvanized. If they rust after a while, they can be replaced. There's a whole bunch of them for a low price. In reality, you're supposed to use something like this in a concrete slab or thick. I'm not, because the way it works, if you over tighten it, it'll crack the whole cover of the well. All right, so this job may not go as planned. They do not sell a masonry bit that big, but I'm hoping what I have here might work. This is a bit, you see, it can go through an I-beam, wood or plastic. Even if I can make 1 hole with this, it'll be worth it. Even if I completely destroy it. And if I completely smooth it out where it's not cutting, I'm willing to take a reciprocating saw to try to make a few more teeth. I would buy 2 of them, but they only have 1 of that size still left. All right, we're back. They did have another one. They just had the last of this, but this part here can just be swapped out. That's the exact same part if it gets dull enough while we're doing the project. Got our anchors right here, got our pump. Now it's time to do a little bit of trimming. And this will probably look really nice. Damn, that doesn't quite go through. I'm hoping once we get that far, max it out, I'm hoping we'll be able to just give it a little bit of chiseling or tapping, and that should, because they literally did not have a longer one. I have a bunch of batteries that are charging currently. Alrighty, so I want this picture right here forward. So I'm gonna have to give this whole top a little bit of a spin. I don't want to put it near the handle. This is not gonna be easy. It's very heavy. You know, that's actually okay. Now that I slid it back on, that doesn't look that bad. All right, I think this is gonna be centered. We're getting it. There we go, that's perfect. Just let me get a brush to clear off a little bit of the moss where we're gonna be drilling. Eye and ear protection is highly recommended. All right, so I just closed the well again because I want to make sure exactly where I'm drilling. I see the hole there. I want it kind of on the edge, but preferably when you're pumping it, not dribbling on it. It won't really make a difference. This concrete can take a lot of water. It's used in culverts after all. Now, it's going to be slightly over to the side because this thing's not quite turned yet. Doesn't have to be 100% perfect. All right. All right, at least it is digging into there. I just stupidly burned myself. Just want to make sure this is exactly where I want it. All right, so I returned the unopened part. The other one I can't return. I'm not even gonna try. I probably could, but that's not right. I just bought a bunch of these. It doesn't matter if I burn out a few. These are a lot cheaper than those. We're just gonna make a bunch of holes. Nobody sells hole saws. So that's just the way it is. All right, everyone, we finally got through that. We went through a bunch of drill bits right there. There's no evidence at all that we hit rebar, but this is old concrete. Old concrete is much better than stuff you find nowadays. Look at all the stone in that. It's probably why it took so long to get through that. So I returned the original drill bits just because these are cheaper and those drill bits weren't made for this. They don't sell masonry hole saws unless you special order them. Even though a lot of people use them in different trades, they still don't sell them. I think it's a pretty common part. Well, we'll just leave it there. Went through 3 of these until they stopped working. Once they completely stopped working, I used this giant screwdriver as a chisel, which was actually making good progress. Then I used this to ream around the edges. And now that's one really tight hole. Did you see me in the time lapse putting the pipe down through that? It doesn't slide in easily. It takes a lot of work to get it in there. But this thing is sitting in 2.5 feet of water. It's only got 6 inches to the bottom. It would have been pretty stupid for me to get an adapter and another little piece just for that length. It would have been really stupid. Plus, you don't want it all the way at the bottom. If this thing ever runs dry, It needs to be dug deeper or not used at that time. All right, everyone, so here's the clean end of the pipe that hasn't been down there, okay? Inside's a bit dirty, but the first run will be to flush this. This is water main. It's galvanized water pipe. It's meant for water use. Now, this right here is probably unnecessary. It's plumber's tape. This stuff's extremely cheap, so why not? This thing already seemed to have a tight connection before I even touched it, but it'll make it a little better. Yeah. Nice and tight. All right, guys, this pipe is actually pretty heavy. That's a very thick pipe. I could have got away with doing it in plastic. Yes, I could have, but this is already pre-threaded. It makes the job a lot easier. Yeah, this pipe probably weighs 3 times as much as the pump itself. Doesn't even want to go in. This is one really tight hole. Ugh. Oh, there we go, there we go. All right, this is looking good. I want to get this cover straight as possible. That's pretty straight. Get this thing really straight. Now I gotta go and use a tiny drill bit so I can drill pilot holes for these anchors. So I'm gonna have to slightly lift this again up. There, perfect fit. Not enough. A little more. All right, everyone. Wow, it sounds nice out. I just took the earmuffs off for the first time in like an hour and a half. It was a tough one getting those holes done. I'm working with a lot of substandard tools. See those 3 drill bits there? Each one of those is 22 bucks. Burn through all of them like nothing. So I chiseled a little bit. I grind a little bit. Even these wall anchors here are complete junk. I used the right size drill bit. When you try to tap them in, the whole top just crumbles. But I'm satisfied enough, even though they're junk. This thing is not going anywhere. Couldn't break that off if you tried. Before I even put the screws, it was pretty tight, just because the hole in the pipe were not much different. These are in there extremely strong. Each one of those screwed into concrete, it says can handle up to 400 pounds. Now that's shearing, not ripping like that. Here goes our first run of the well. Let's see how it works. Then we'll straighten the cap out perfectly. Oh, I feel good compression. Oh, yes! Look at that, its water's white. That's because it has to get rid of the galvanization powder inside it. So, there we go. It's working nice. That is just perfect, ain't it? You see how it has this little lip here? That's so you can hang a bucket here, so you don't have to hold the bucket while you're pumping. All right. We're gonna let this guy sit for 10 minutes and we're gonna see how good the leakage is. I mentioned that at the beginning of the video. In the summertime, don't worry about it at all. Most people don't even use wells in the wintertime like this, so it can literally just be remove the gasket in the wintertime and there's no problem. This thing has a great gasket, as it should, because it's new. It didn't slip at all. Water's still up here. I take that back. It just had a little bit on top of the plunger at first. But not bad at all. All right, that is pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. All right, that thing was just awesome. The way it was pumping, I could probably get 10 gallons out of that a minute by hand. I filled that 5-gallon bucket in under 30 seconds. That's just great. The water coming at it is so clean. All the dust from drilling has settled down. That's nice. And the little bit of lubricating oil we use, that'll break down pretty fast. Oil breaks right down as long as it's spread thin. That's nice. So this thing does have slight compression loss. If you sit here for 10 minutes, it will be halfway down the pipe again, which is not a problem at all. Just in case, just to have them on hand, I'm gonna buy a couple spare gaskets for this. But it's not a challenge at all to get it back up the pipe. Even if it's all the way down, I can get it up here in 10 seconds of pumping it. It's very good. Now, remember, down here, it's only 7 feet below the pump, the water table. So below the ground, it's probably only 5 feet. We have a high water table here. This thing's rated up to 25 feet. 25 feet, I can imagine it would probably take you almost a minute to get it up there. Works nice. I'm happy with it. Let's see how fast we can possibly pump. All right, I've been having fun with this thing for the past half an hour. I've been just pumping it like crazy. It's pretty fun. And it's good because I can also flush the stagnant water out the bottom of the well since it hasn't been used in a while. And for anybody who thinks this project went along so horribly as far as drilling, the reason I kept burning through drill bits, the first one I used, I thought it would work because it was for heavy I-beams. Obviously not. That was just stupid on me. That's not getting returned. But the extra piece I didn't use, I already returned that. The 3 bits I used today, you saw that? 1 bit went through it, but it couldn't go through again. It just completely dulled it. I know somebody's going to say it's because I wasn't using a hammer drill. That's not the case at all. I drill people's foundations all the time to put underground electrical work and that kind of stuff in. Now, a hammer drill would have made it go extremely fast. It would have gone through a lot faster. I love using a hammer drill, but usually I don't do that often at all. So I usually rent one for like 30 bucks a day. Yeah, okay, that wasn't the problem at all. The problem was this, because I've used a hand drill that's non-hammer drill. It goes through concrete pretty well. This is old concrete. It's got so much gravel in it, and probably other fillers too. They don't make concrete like that anymore. This concrete's here to stay. They even used quality rebar back then. Today's rebar will rust through like nothing. Today's rebar, when you cut it off, you're supposed to patch it. You literally are supposed to patch it because it can rust through. Some rebar is just junk. I'm glad this thing's old. I hope this video was interesting, everyone. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Alrighty, everybody, 1 hour update. I've added this large bowl here. That is so that wildlife may come over and drink from it. I'm going to add a little chicken wire ladder from the base of the bowl leading out, just in case it evaporates. Some animal like a mouse or a squirrel doesn't get trapped in there if it accidentally falls in. This thing will be awesome for drinking. This thing will be awesome for doing laundry if poop ever hits the fan, or if simply the power is just out. Unless there's really an emergency, I wouldn't be drinking this because there could be bacteria in it. Now, a well that's that deep, highly unlikely bacteria would be down that deep. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great night.